The medical officer handed me the data pad without looking up. "Sergeant Kane, you need to see this," he said. I'd been awake for 37 hours straight on the Meridian front, running combat ops. My mind craved rest, but the image on the screen erased exhaustion in an instant. A Velhari female, barely past adolescent years, lay unconscious in a medical pod. On her upper arm, visible through the bandaging, was a tattoo. "Sergeant Marcus Kane, Terran Marines, do not separate." What is this?" I muttered, staring at the screen. "We found her in the wreckage of a transport that went down in Sector 7, the medical officer said. "She's the only survivor. Memory loss is total, she doesn't know her name, her unit, nothing. That tattoo is all the information we have." I couldn't comprehend it. Velhari weren't close allies. We coordinated, not integrated. Why did she have my name etched into her skin? "She woke up an hour ago," the medical officer added. "First thing she did was ask for you." My chest tightened. This was impossible. I entered the medical bay cautiously. The room smelled of antiseptic. Vel sat on the edge of the bed, legs dangling. Her skin flickered pale blue and grey, fear, confusion. "You're Marcus Kane," she said. Not a question. "Yes," I replied, maintaining distance. "And you are?" "I don't know," she admitted. "I remember nothing, except this." She touched the bandage over the tattoo. "Except you." Her colors shifted to dark grey. "You're sure you don't know me?" "I'd remember," I said. She hesitated. "This tattoo, it means you're my designated companion, my bond partner." I did it knowing it wasn't proper, knowing humans don't bond with Velhari, but I had to. I swallowed hard. That's not allowed. Velhari don't bond with humans. "I did it anyway," she said softly. Her skin flickered purple with embarrassment. The medical officer cleared his throat. "Sergeant, Command needs a decision. She can't stay here indefinitely. Technically, she's a refugee. But the tattoo, it creates obligations. Under Velhari law, you're responsible for her unless you formally reject the bond, which could take weeks." I looked at the small figure on the bed, the mixture of hope and fear in her eyes. I sighed. "Fine. You stay with me until we figure this out. But we get answers." Her colors shifted to soft gold. Relief. "Thank you, Marcus, just Kane." We ended up in my temporary quarters. I dropped my gear bag. She sat on the bed, examining the room with quiet curiosity. "You can take the bed," I said. "I'll take the chair." Her skin shimmered silver. "You need rest more than I do. You almost died in that transport crash. Bed. That's an order." I raised an eyebrow but let it go. We were learning each other's rhythms. The next day, briefing came. Captain Reeves's voice crackled through my comm unit. "Kane, movement on the eastern perimeter. Recon team needed." I glanced at Vel. "You're staying here where it's safe." "I am Velhari military," she insisted. "I may not remember my name, but I know how to fight." Her skin darkened steel blue, stubbornness. I gave a nod. "Fine. But stay close. Follow my orders." 2 hours into the patrol, Vel raised her hand in the Velhari signal for stop. Hostiles ahead. She moved with fluid precision, disarming and neutralizing 3 crate scouts before we even arrived. By the time the squad reached her, the enemies were unconscious. "Vel, you saved our lives," I said. Her colors shifted to soft blue, adrenaline fading. She whispered, "I was worried you'd be angry." I shook my head. "You're part of this team now. A team. Not a civilian." Back at base, word spread. Vel was no ordinary survivor. She was a trained soldier, lethal and intelligent. Captain Reeves called me in. "There's something about this bond, Mark," he said carefully. "You've known me for 3 years, Kane. You don't attach yourself. Why now?" I thought of her asking what to call me, the hope in her eyes, her pride in being useful. Maybe it was time I changed too. Weeks passed. Vel adapted, learned human procedures, trained with the squad. I learned her habits, left-handed, hummed when thinking, brilliant with tactics, terrible at poker. She dreamed in colors, emotions made visible across her skin like an aurora. We were falling into rhythm. Morning briefings, patrol rotations, exercises. She had refused Vel High Command's requests to return. "This is where I belong," she said, touching the tattoo on her arm. Then came the offensive. The largest coordinated strike against the Crate in months. The battle was chaos. Crates pushed hard. I moved with purpose, my focus sharpened not by duty, but by knowing Vel was with me. Then a strike team flanked us. Vel realized she couldn't get her weapon in time. Without hesitation, she threw herself in front of me. The energy bolt hit her instead. "Vel!" I screamed, firing at the crates, adrenaline and panic blurring time. She was alive. Barely. Her skin flickered every color imaginable. Pain visible. "I couldn't lose you, again," she gasped. I held her, ignoring my own fear. "You're not losing me. Stay with me." Vel's fragments of memory returned in flashes. "I was your translator 6 months ago, embedded with your unit. You kept me alive. And when they reassigned me, I got the tattoo because I needed you to know, you were mine." Tears ran down her cheeks. Velhari rarely cried. I swallowed hard. "You found your way back. That's what matters." Evac arrived. I watched them take her away, still flickering with color, proof she was fighting, surviving. I turned to Park. "She's strong." "Strongest I know," he said. I nodded. "And she's been saving us every day since she showed up. That's what companions do." The first light of dawn spilled across the base, pale and trembling. Even after the war's end, the galaxy didn't give time for rest. Intelligence reports suggested rogue Kraith cells had splintered into small, aggressive groups, raiding supply lines and attacking isolated colonies. We were still needed. I stood on the observation deck, looking at Vel, Ara, her skin a soft amber as the sun hit it. She moved with ease, adjusting her gear, reviewing tactical charts that the squad had laid out overnight. Even in peacetime, she carried herself like a soldier on the front lines. But the difference now was choice. Every movement, every glance, every flicker of color across her skin reflected the bond we'd cemented. She wasn't just my companion in war. She was mine in a way that mattered beyond rank, beyond orders. "Morning," she said, her voice light, teasing. "You're staring again." I smirked. "Just making sure you're still real." Vel tilted her head, a streak of gold tracing across her cheeks. "You've been staring at me since yesterday morning." I leaned against the railing. "Doesn't mean I'm complaining." She laughed, a sound that always pulled something tight in my chest and loosened it at the same time. "Marcus, stop being cheesy. We have a briefing in 10. The Council wants updates from field teams on recent Kraith activity." The briefing room was quiet, the hum of data pads and monitors filling the space with life. Captain Reeves gave the floor to the intelligence officer. "Rogue Kraith are forming, but scattered. No major fleet movements. Recon teams report small squads, highly mobile." I glanced at Vel. She nodded once, imperceptibly, reading the room, reading the data, processing faster than any human, or most Velhari, I'd ever seen. "Given the numbers, we'll need fast, surgical strikes," I said, sliding into my role. "Teams Alpha and Beta will hit supply convoys suspected to be Kraith caches. Vel, you're with me on Alpha." Her eyes flickered silver and then gold. "Copy that. Let's make it clean. Minimal casualties. Efficient." I raised an eyebrow. "Efficient, that's your polite way of saying, leave nothing standing?" She smirked. "Leave nothing standing that threatens you." The squad prepped quickly. Even in peacetime, our movements were practiced, rehearsed to instinct. Vel moved beside me as we boarded the drop shuttle. She carried only what she needed, every motion precise, every breath measured. I had fought alongside soldiers for years. None matched the coordination and confidence Vel had, even with gaps in her memory. The shuttle dropped us just outside the canyon where Kraith scouts had been sighted. I surveyed the terrain. Rocky ridges, low cover, and sparse vegetation made the perfect hunting ground for small squads. Vel crouched beside me, scanning, her skin reflecting the sunlight like a living map of emotion and thought. "Markers ahead," she whispered. A streak of violet traced her neck. 3 squads, light armor. Patrolling the east ridge. Slow, predictable. I grinned. "Good eyes. You think you can take them without me?" Her amber hues shifted to a teasing green. "You know I can. But it's more fun with you." The strike was swift. Vel led the approach, silent and fluid. We split the squads, dropping Kraith patrols before they even realized we were near. Their tech was primitive compared to ours, but they fought with ferocity born of desperation. Vel moved like a shadow, disarming, disabling, striking with surgical precision. When the last Kraith went down, I found myself standing over her, heart still racing. "Every time, Vel, you amaze me." Her skin cycled through a soft pink, almost shy. "You're still here. That's what matters." We exfiltrated quickly, leaving no trace of our passage. By the time we returned to the base, Vel had already begun recording detailed reports of the engagement, her mind processing every angle, every movement, every variable. Even in peacetime, she was unstoppable. Weeks passed like this. Our team became a blur of efficiency. Vel integrated seamlessly into human protocols, learning customs, culture, and discipline, but never losing herself. The Velhari pride she carried made her distinct, unmatched, yet part of our unit as naturally as a heartbeat. One evening, after a long day of operations, I found her sitting on the edge of the barracks roof again. The sun had dipped below the horizon, casting the galaxy in shades of indigo and silver. I joined her, silent for a moment, letting the quiet settle between us. "You think peace changes things?" she asked finally, her voice barely above the whisper of the wind. I looked at her, taking in the small curve of her jaw, the way her colors reflected uncertainty and thought. "It doesn't have to. We decide what it changes. We define it." She shifted closer. "I don't want to go back to being lost, Marcus. Not after this. Not after everything." "You won't," I said softly. "You'll never be lost again. Not while I'm here." Her skin shimmered gold, pink, and amber, joy, trust, and hope. She smiled, resting her head against my shoulder. "I was afraid for so long, Marcus. Afraid that memory fades would erase everything. That the bond was temporary. But now I see it's not." I squeezed her hand. "The bond isn't just memory. It's choice. Every day, we choose it. That's what makes it permanent." Her gaze lifted, her eyes reflecting distant stars. "You always knew how to find me, even when I had no memory. I'm choosing to stay found. Choosing to stay with you. Not because you need me, not because I have to, but because I want to." I swallowed, my throat tight. "I want the same. Every day, Vel. Every single day." She laughed softly, the kind of laughter that was both relief and joy. "Then we're really stuck with each other. Permanently." "Good," I said, leaning closer. "I like permanent." Months turned into a year. We didn't stop moving, didn't stop improving, didn't stop fighting. But now, we fought for more than survival. We fought to protect, to build, to understand. We trained new recruits, taught them to see beyond fear, to trust one another, to respect the bond of a team. Vel was the highlight of every exercise. Graceful, competent, fierce, yet patient with those who struggled. She taught me too, in ways subtle but profound. How to trust beyond instinct, how to see emotion as a tool rather than a weakness, how to care without losing control. Every day, she reshaped what it meant to be a soldier, a human, a companion. One evening, after another long debrief, Vel and I found ourselves alone in the observation deck. The base below hummed with quiet activity. "I never thought I'd find a home in war," I said. "Or in anyone. Yet here you are." Her colors softened to warm gold and lilac. "Home isn't a place, Marcus. It's a person. Someone who sees you, truly sees you. And you've always been that person for me, even when I didn't know it." I reached for her hand. "And you for me. Always." She smiled, brushing a strand of hair from my face. Do you think anyone else would survive our partnership? I laughed. Doubt it. But then again, we're not anyone else. We're us. Unique, stubborn, ridiculous sometimes, but effective. Unstoppable, even. She leaned against me, a perfect fit, like gravity had chosen us for each other. You know, I like that. Us. We watched the stars emerge, one by one, as the galaxy breathed beneath us. There would always be new threats, new missions, new challenges. But we were no longer alone. We had each other. That was more than enough. Peace didn't change everything. But it allowed us to grow beyond survival. To live, to explore, to choose. And every choice we made together. One night, months later, after another successful operation, I found a small comm message waiting for me. It was from Vel, though I didn't need it to know. Marcus, I've been thinking. We've survived so much together. Seen horrors and victories, fear and joy. Let's stop letting the galaxy dictate who we are. Let's chart our own course. Start our own path. Just us. Forever. Ara. I smiled, feeling warmth spread through me. She didn't need orders. She didn't need approval. She needed me to choose. And I did. Always. I typed back a simple message. Forever. Marcus. The stars outside glimmered, distant and eternal, a mirror to the bond we'd forged. Not through law, not through memory, not through fear, but through choice. Through courage. Through love. And in that moment, I knew we'd built something no war could take. Not memory, not time, not the void of space. Something permanent. Something ours. We were no longer just soldier and alien companion. We were home.